welcome to our channel Grade 5 Official 2020. Friends, today I have a story for you. Cartesian mathematics was invented by and is named after French philosopher, physiologist, and mathematician René Descartes. Descartes is famous not just for inventing Cartesian mathematics, which at the time was a stunning unification of algebra and geometry. He is also well known for making a pretty good step of answering the question, how do I know something is true? The question then has kept generation of philosophers heavily employed. Okay friends, today we have learned about coordinate Cartesian, yeah? Please watching this video. Enjoy!
Okay. We can call it the coordinate plane or the coordinate grid or the Cartesian grid, but we'll just say coordinate plane. So this is what it looks like. We have a grid system here, and the blue lines, one going up and down, this is called the y-axis. Goes up and down. See that? And left to right is the x-axis. So we have the y-axis and the x-axis. And we have a name in the middle. The one right in the middle is called the origin. I'll write it over here. The origin is that dot in the middle, 0, 0. So we can plot points, or we call them ordered pairs on the grid. We want to plot ordered pairs. So here's where another example here. Here's a grid with ordered pairs already plotted. There's an A, there's a C, there's a D, there's a B. And you see we have our x-axis and our y-axis. And we have quadrants. The quadrants go this way. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So it goes counterclockwise. You know, a clock, the dial of the clock goes this way. That's called clockwise. But on the coordinate grid or plane, it's going counterclockwise. So this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this video, we'll just concentrate on quadrant 1. And quadrant 1, everything in quadrant 1 is all positive numbers. So if you look at this grid, you see numbers on the x and you see numbers on the y. And the numbers in the quadrant 1 are all positive for x and all positive for y. We'll go over more of that. So let's look at another example, and let's see if we can find out where some of these plots are, these pairs are. Let's look at, again, this is just quadrant 1 now. This is just quadrant 1. We'll use the Roman numeral 1. So in quadrant 1, everything again is positive. Positive y and positive x. So it's important to know when we plot ordered pairs that the x comes first. When we plot this, we want to know the x number and then the y number. And I'll go over that. So let's look at A. Where would A be on the grid? Well, let's look at the x first. Remember, x comes first. It's right lined up with the 4 with the x and the 7 for the y. The 4 for the x, 7 for the y. So for A, if we wanted to plot what A was, it would be 4, 7. A is at 4, 7. Where would C be? See if you can find C. What would the ordered pair be for C? Okay, well, it's at the 9. It lines up with 9, so we know that C is already at 9 because x comes first. And what about the y? Well, it lines up with the 3. Right, with the 3. So the pair would be 9, 3 for C. Let's do one more. Find F. Okay? It lines up with the 1 for the F, for the X line, and 3 for the Y. So F is at 1, 3. Okay, let's look at another grid. Now here we have some locations. What do you think the location of the school is? What would be the ordered pair of the school? See if you can do that. So again, the school, we want the X first. The X always comes first, and on the X line, on the X-axis, the school lines up with 4. So we know so far that the school will be at 4 for the X, but for the Y it's at 2. So it would be 4, 2. And what about the library now? Now the library is not in quadrant 1. Remember, this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this will be quadrant 4. The library is in quadrant 2, and in quadrant 2 you can notice that the X's have negative numbers. The Y still has positive. So the library will be at -1 for the X, lines up with -1, and 3 for the Y, -1, 3. Now the skate park, what about the skate park? It's also at negative. Well, it's not in quadrant 2, it's actually right on the X-axis. So it's not in any quadrant. So the skate park is at -3 for the X, but it's on 0 for the Y. So be careful for that. Now what if I put a point here? What's the quadrant for that point? Well, it's at 1 for the X and 2 for the Y. So that'll be 1, 2. Now, how far is that point I just made from the school? Just count the units. It's 1, 2, 3. It's 3 to the right. So when we're using distances, we use the word units. Units just means 1. So, how far, let's put another dot here, what is the coordinate of that dot? What is the ordered pair for the dot I just made there? X comes first. It lines up with the 10 for the X and the 5 for the Y, so it's at 10, 5. How far is that point from the home? How many units? Remember, don't count the first one. Don't count 1 as the dot. You gotta count the ones after. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 units to the left. 6 units to the left. Okay, let's do one more. I just made a dot there. What are the ordered pairs for that dot? Well, on the X, it's at -8, and for the Y, it's at -3. -8, -3. So again, we have the X-axis, and you notice that it starts at negative, gets to the origin, and it becomes positive, just like a number line. And the Y, it's negative on the bottom, positive on top. So that's the coordinate plane, or the coordinate grid, or the Cartesian grid. Great job.
In this lesson, you will learn about plotting coordinate pairs. So we have a coordinate grid here. It starts with 0, and each line going to the right goes up 1 number, and each line going up goes up 1 number. So 1 to 6, and this one goes 1 to 7. This grid could keep going, but we're just using part of the grid. When you plot a coordinate pair, you have 2 numbers. The first number is always on the X-axis, or we go across first. We go to that number first. The second number is how far up we go. So we go across first and then up. I like to think of it as an elevator. You have to, if there are 3 elevators, you have to decide which elevator you're going to get into before you can go up. So you can think of this as 7 different elevators. You have to get into an elevator before you can go up to the floor you want. So the first number is always across, second number is up. So we simply look at our first number is 3, so we go to the 3 on the X-axis. And this is the 2, so we go up 2. So 3 is our first, up to 2. So we got in the 3rd elevator and went to the 2nd floor. In this case, we're going to get into the 6th elevator. The 6 is on the x-axis, and we're going to go up to the 4th floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, these are the same numbers, but they're in different order. That affects where it gets plotted. In this case, I'm going to go over to the 4th elevator and go up to the 6th floor. So 6th floor is over here, but the coordinate pair for 6 is up there. They're different. Here's one with a 0. 0 means, I guess we're not getting into an elevator, we're taking on, I don't know, but we stay on this y-axis and we go up to the 5. So 0, 5, 4, 6, 6, 4, and 3, 2. Those are all different plots, different points on this coordinate grid. That's the end of our lesson on plotting coordinate pairs.
Okay friends, today we have exercise for you. Please open mathematics books, page 32, number 1 and 4. Okay, good luck for you. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.